you've finished eating. Maybe it was a family lunch, a quiet dinner, or just a quick plate before returning to your activities. You rise from the table, stretch, and without thinking, you begin that thing you've been doing for years after every meal. It seems harmless, almost just another daily habit. But what you don't know is that this small action could be harming your health more than you imagine. What you do in the first 30 minutes after eating isn't an unimportant detail. It's a critical moment. A time when your body is working at full throttle to process the food, distribute the nutrients, and protect you from possible damage. And right in that interval is when many people make mistakes that, although they may seem minor, can affect your digestion, your heart, your circulation, and even your life expectancy. You may not realize it, but science has already demonstrated certain activities performed immediately after eating can increase the risk of everything from simple digestive discomfort to more serious cardiovascular or metabolic problems. And the most worrying part is that almost all of us fall into these habits because no one taught us they could be so harmful. Think for a moment. Have you ever lain down the instant you finish eating? Have you gone out for a run or done intense exercise right after your meal? Have you gone straight to the sofa to spend hours watching television or scrolling your phone? If the answer is yes, you're not alone. Millions of people around the world do the same every day, unaware that they're playing with their health. Today I want you to pay special attention. In this video, we're going to talk about the 7 worst things you can do after eating. 7 mistakes many make daily, but that you can start avoiding today. Plus, I'll tell you what you actually should do to take care of your body, improve your digestion, and protect your heart. Because the truth is, these 30 minutes can be medicine, or they can become a silent poison for your body. The choice is in your hands. But before we begin, I want to get to know you a little better. Tell me in the comments, how old are you? And from which part of the world are you watching? I'd love to read you and know where you're joining this video from. Error 1. Lying down or napping immediately. Let's start with the first big mistake that millions of people make every day after eating, and that you can begin to avoid right now. Do you know one of the most common habits after a big meal? Yes, lying down on the bed or crashing on the sofa to rest. It may seem harmless, even logical. After all, once we've eaten, we feel full, sleepy, and our body asks for a little nap. But here's the harsh truth. Lying down immediately after eating is one of the worst things you can do for your digestion and for your overall health. Let me explain what happens inside you when you decide to recline the moment you finish eating. Your stomach is full of food and liquids. At that moment, your body is producing gastric acids to break down the meal. It's a natural but delicate process. Now, when you lie down, gravity no longer helps keep the stomach contents in place. The result? Acids, along with food remnants, can start to rise into the esophagus, causing that annoying burning sensation many know as acid reflux. It's no coincidence that so many people suffer heartburn right after a nap. Even if you don't feel the burn every time you lie down, each silent episode of reflux is slowly damaging the lining of your esophagus. And over time, that can lead to chronic inflammation, lesions, or even more serious issues requiring medical attention. And it doesn't end there. If lying down after eating becomes a habit, in the long run you may experience consequences beyond digestion. For instance, sleep apnea. Many older adults develop this condition precisely because poor rest habits, combined with excess weight and reflux, eventually affect the airways. Apnea interrupts breathing during sleep, causes constant daytime fatigue, and in severe cases, raises the risk of heart problems. And if that weren't enough, studies show that sleeping immediately after eating can contribute to weight gain. The reason is simple. When you're lying down, metabolism slows just when it should be active to process the food. The consequence? Greater fat accumulation, especially around the abdomen. I tell you this because I know many real cases. People who for years, out of habit, took a nap immediately after eating. First came the heartburn, then the bloating. After that, weight gain. And finally, breathing problems, they never link to that seemingly harmless habit. But the good news is that this problem has a simple solution. Experts' recommendation is clear. Wait at least 30 minutes before reclining or sleeping. Ideally, stay upright. Seated, or even better, take a gentle walk around the house or garden. No need for intense exercise, just a little stroll to aid digestion and prevent acids from rising. Remember, if you feel very sleepy after eating, it's fine to rest, but do it seated or in a semi-reclined position, and let time and gravity do their work before lying down completely. Avoiding this first mistake is one of the simplest and most effective steps you can take today to protect your stomach, your breathing, and your long-term health. And now, let's move on to the second big error, one that many people commit unknowingly, thinking it's healthy. Error 2, doing intense physical exercise immediately. Now let's talk about the second mistake, one many commit believing they're doing the right thing for their health. How many times have you heard phrases like, after eating, you have to burn what you ate? Or worse yet, have you ever felt guilty after a big meal and decided to go for a run, lift weights, or start an intense workout routine right away? If so, today is the day you need to change that habit. Intense physical exercise immediately after eating is one of the worst decisions you can make for your body. And no, I'm not saying this to discourage you from exercising. On the contrary, moving and staying active is essential for health. But there is a time for it, and it's not right after eating. Let me explain what happens in your body when you finish a meal. As I mentioned before, a large amount of blood is directed to the digestive system. It's how your body transports oxygen and nutrients to the organs now working to process the food. The stomach, the intestines, the pancreas, and the liver all need that blood flow to do their job well. But what happens when you decide to go for a run, lift weights, or play any high-intensity sport right after eating? The body is forced to make decisions. And believe me, it's not an easy choice. Your heart and circulatory system must redistribute the blood, and they do so by taking it from the digestive system to send it to the muscles, your legs, your arms, your back. All those muscle groups begin to demand oxygen and nutrients to sustain the effort. The result? Your digestion slows down or even stops. And here come the problems. Many people experience immediate symptoms: nausea, dizziness, a feeling of heaviness, abdominal pain, and even vomiting or diarrhea. It's not uncommon to feel cramps in the stomach or intestines if you do vigorous exercise right after eating. And if you add movements with jumps, twists, or running, the risk is even greater. But what many don't know is that in the long term, this bad habit can lead to more serious problems. Repeatedly cutting off digestion can affect how your body absorbs nutrients, increase the risk of gastritis, and in predisposed individuals, even promote hernias or chronic gastrointestinal issues. So, what should you do? The general rule is to wait between 1.5 and 2 hours after a full meal before doing intense physical exercise. That time allows your body to complete the basic digestive work, and afterward, you'll be in better shape to train without risking your stomach or circulation. But if you feel the urge to move a bit after eating, there are healthy options. Ideally, opt for gentle, low-impact movements. For example, take a leisurely 10 to 15-minute walk. Walking at a slow pace aids digestion without interfering in blood flow. Do gentle stretches, avoiding positions that compress the abdomen. Practice breathing or relaxation techniques like diaphragmatic breathing, which also helps calm the nervous system. Remember, exercise is health, but so is choosing the right time to do it. Choose wisely, and you'll be helping your body not only burn calories, but function more efficiently and safely. And now, let's move on to the third error, one that many commit, even thinking they're doing a favor for their digestion. Error 3, taking a hot shower or bath immediately. Next up is the third big error. And this one surprises many because at first glance it seems harmless, even relaxing. I'm talking about taking a hot shower or a hot bath right after eating. Surely you've heard that old grandmother's warning, don't bathe after eating or you might get a digestion cut. And although for years many thought it was just a myth or an exaggeration, science has shown that, deep down, those warnings made a lot of sense. Let me explain what happens inside your body. After a meal, especially a heavy one, the body concentrates much of its blood flow in the digestive system. The stomach, the intestines, the liver. All those organs are working at full speed to process the food, extract nutrients, and deliver them to the rest of the body. Now, when you decide to take a hot shower, something few know occurs. Hot water causes generalized vasodilation. What does that mean? That the blood vessels that are normally more constricted begin to open, especially those near the skin. In a matter of minutes, a large amount of blood that was concentrated in the digestive system starts to divert to the skin's surface to help balance body temperature. And here's the problem. That abrupt shift in circulation leaves the stomach and other digestive organs momentarily with less blood supply, just when they need it most. The result can be incomplete digestion, a feeling of heaviness, and in more extreme cases, dizziness, nausea, or even fainting. This is especially dangerous for older adults, people with low blood pressure, or those already with circulatory issues. Some may even experience a sudden drop in tension when combining active digestion with hot water. That mix can provoke extreme fatigue, cold sweats, or blurred vision. In some cultures, especially in tropical or very hot countries, it's common to bathe multiple times a day, even right after eating, as a way to cool off. But while cold water has different effects we could analyze later, the real issue usually lies in hot showers or prolonged baths. So, what's the recommendation? Ideally, wait at least 45 minutes after eating before taking a hot shower or bath. That time allows the most intense phase of digestion to progress and means your body no longer depends on such a high volume of blood in the abdominal area. If you really need to bathe sooner, your best option is to use lukewarm or slightly cool water, and avoid, of course, long or too hot showers. Another highly recommended alternative is to bathe before eating, especially if you know you'll enjoy a heavy meal. That way you avoid unnecessary risks. Remember, your digestion is one of the most important functions for your overall health, and what you do after eating can make the difference between feeling good or dragging discomfort all afternoon. Error 4. Smoking after eating. Now we arrive at one of the most dangerous mistakes, and at the same time, one of the most common among those who still smoke. Yes, I'm referring to lighting up a cigarette right after eating. Maybe you've seen family members, friends, or you've done it yourself for years. That habit of finishing your meal, getting up from the table, and the first thing you do is pull out the tobacco pack, light it, and take that first drag as if it were part of the dining ritual. But let me tell you a truth many find hard to hear. Smoking after eating isn't just harmful. It multiplies the damage tobacco does to your body. Why? The answer lies in how your digestive system functions at that moment. Right after eating, your body is in full digestive mode. Activity in the stomach and intestines increases, and with it, so does blood flow in the abdominal region. This means any substance you ingest, inhale, or absorb during that time is assimilated much faster and more intensely. And this is where tobacco becomes a problem. When you smoke right after eating, toxins in the cigarette smoke enter the bloodstream at a moment your body is especially receptive. This amplifies absorption of harmful substances like nicotine, tar, and carbon monoxide. Studies show that smoking right after a meal can be equivalent to multiple cigarettes back to back, in terms of pulmonary and cardiovascular damage. But that's not all. Smoking at that time also directly affects digestion. Tobacco causes blood vessels in the digestive system to constrict, making it harder for oxygen to reach the organs working to process food. This encourages issues such as heavy, uncomfortable digestion, acidity and gastric reflux, stomach discomfort, and over the long term, increases the risk of ulcers. If you thought the risks ended there, there's more you need to know. Smoking after eating is also linked to a higher risk of stomach and colon cancer. The reason is simple. During digestion, intestinal motility increases, meaning the body absorbs more of everything, including carcinogenic chemicals present in tobacco smoke. Some studies estimate that smoking a single cigarette right after eating can multiply by 2 or even 3 the risk of developing serious gastrointestinal diseases. And as if that weren't enough, the impact extends to your respiratory system and heart. After eating, heart rate usually rises slightly due to digestion. If you then add the extra stress tobacco brings, you're subjecting your heart to unnecessary strain. In older adults or those with cardiac history, this can trigger arrhythmias, blood pressure spikes, or even a heart attack. So, what's the best alternative? The ideal answer, of course, is to quit smoking. I know it's not easy. I really do. But believe me when I say your body will feel the benefits within weeks. If quitting cold turkey feels impossible, start by eliminating the cigarette after meals, which is one of the most dangerous moments. Try replacing it with a short walk, fresh air, or simply a glass of water. Every small step you take toward kicking tobacco is a step toward protecting your heart, lungs, and digestive system. Remember, what you do after eating can be medicine or poison. Error 5. Drinking strong coffee or tea immediately. Now let's cover another very common mistake, one that for many is almost a sacred ritual after every meal. Yes, I'm referring to that strong cup of coffee, or that potent tea that so many people enjoy right after eating, as if it were indispensable to the sobremesa. And look, I'm not here to demonize coffee or tea. Both have interesting health properties when consumed at the right time and in moderate amounts. The problem is drinking them right after a meal. Let me tell you why. When you've just eaten, your body is deep in digestion. The foods you consumed are in your stomach, breaking down, so that nutrients can later be absorbed in the intestine. And here comes the big issue. Both coffee and tea contain compounds that hamper absorption of essential nutrients, especially iron. Coffee contains tannins and polyphenols, as does tea, which act as blockers of non-heme iron absorption, the type found in plant foods like lentils, spinach, or chickpeas. This means that if you drink a strong coffee or tea right after eating, you could be reducing iron absorption from that meal by 30 to 70%. And in the long run, this raises the risk of anemia, particularly in older women, people with digestive issues, or those already low in iron. But there's more. Coffee also has a vasoconstrictive effect, meaning it can elevate blood pressure. If you already have hypertension or heart problems, a strong cup of coffee right after eating can trigger dangerous pressure spikes. And if you're prone to nervousness or anxiety, you know what can happen. That post-meal coffee can cause palpitations, sweating, tremors, or a jittery feeling that lasts for hours. On the other hand, very concentrated coffee or tea can irritate the stomach lining, especially if you suffer from gastritis, reflux, or ulcers. Many older adults with acidity or stomach discomfort don't realize their habit of drinking coffee after eating could be making the problem worse. I'll give you a simple example. Mary, 72 years old, a lifelong devotee of her double shot after lunch. Recently, she began feeling constant burning, a heavy stomach, and discomfort that kept her from sleeping well at night. After visiting the doctor, the diagnosis was clear: chronic gastritis, aggravated by excessive coffee consumption, especially immediately after eating. So, what's to be done? The most sensible recommendation is to wait between 30 and 90 minutes after eating before drinking strong coffee or tea. This gives your body time to finish the most intense phase of digestion and reduces the negative impact on nutrient absorption and the digestive system. Another option, if you can't give up your hot post-meal drink, is to choose a mild caffeine-free infusion like chamomile, mint, or anise, which, besides not interfering with digestion, can help relieve bloating and stomach discomfort. And if you're one of those who drink several cups of coffee a day, try moving that strong dose to the morning or mid-afternoon, but not immediately after your main meal. Remember, what you do after eating can be medicine or poison. Error 6. Drinking too much water immediately. Next is a habit that on the surface seems harmless, even healthy, but if you're not careful, can be harming your digestion without you realizing it. I'm talking about drinking too much water right after eating. I know it sounds odd, Because we've all heard countless times to stay hydrated, that water is life, that we should drink at least 2 liters a day. And all that is true. But the problem isn't the water itself, it's the timing and the amount. Let me explain what happens when you finish eating. As digestion begins, your stomach produces a significant amount of gastric juices. These juices contain hydrochloric acid, enzymes, and other components essential for breaking down what you just ingested. Think of these acids as the internal fire that turns food into nutrients your body can absorb. Now, imagine that immediately after your meal, you decide to drink a large glass, or even 2, of cold water. What happens is that this volume of water dilutes the gastric juices, making digestion much slower and less efficient. The result? Food stays longer in the stomach, sluggish digestions, gas, bloating, and in some cases, reflux or heartburn. Also, excess cold water can cause a kind of thermal shock in the stomach, making blood vessels in the area constrict, which also hinders proper digestion. Does this mean you should never drink while eating? Not exactly. The key is quantity and temperature. If you feel thirsty during or right after your meal, you can take small sips of room temperature water. This won't cause any problem and can even help you swallow your food more easily. What you must avoid is downing large quantities at once, say ½ liter or more, and especially if it's cold. Some studies even indicate that people who drink lots of water right after eating are more likely to suffer slow digestions and abdominal discomfort. Let me share the case of Henry, 75 years old, whom I met a few months ago at a health talk. Henry had the habit of ending his meals with 2 large glasses of ice-cold water. He claimed it was his way of cleansing himself from the inside. But for years, he suffered from gas, heartburn, and a bloated stomach after every meal. When I explained what was happening, he decided to change his habit. He started drinking only small sips and waiting at least 45 minutes after eating before having more liquids. In less than 2 weeks, his symptoms improved dramatically. And if you need a drink right after eating, besides water, you can opt for gentle digestive infusions like chamomile, anise, or mint, always in small quantities. These not only hydrate, but can help improve the digestive process. So remember, water is essential, but too much right after eating can be more harmful than beneficial. The golden rule: if you're thirsty, only small sips, and always at room temperature. Error 7. Falling asleep on the sofa. Watching TV or scrolling for hours. Now we come to one of the most common mistakes, and at the same time, one of the most silent. That moment after eating, when you feel full, a bit drowsy, and think, I'll sit on the sofa for a few minutes to watch TV or check my phone, then I'll get back to my day. But what usually happens? What starts as a few minutes ends up being 1, 2, or even 3 hours of absolute inactivity. And that habit, repeated day after day, is directly impacting your health, even if you don't notice it immediately. Let me tell you what happens in your body when you stay inactive right after eating. After a meal, especially one rich in carbohydrates, your blood glucose level naturally rises. This is something the body handles easily, as long as you're on the move or your metabolism is functioning well. But if you flop onto the sofa or stay static scrolling your phone, that glucose struggles to be processed properly. The result? Sugar spikes in your blood, which over time can lead to insulin resistance and culminate in something much more serious: type 2 diabetes. And not only that, staying immobile after eating also promotes increases in LDL cholesterol and triglycerides, 2 silent enemies that gradually damage your arteries, your heart, and your overall metabolic health. Plus, when you spend hours sitting after a meal, you encourage fat storage, especially around the abdomen. And that abdominal fat isn't just an aesthetic issue, it's a direct risk factor for cardiovascular disease. Let me put it in perspective. Imagine Mr. Manuel, 70 years old, who after eating always used to sit in front of the TV all afternoon. In his latest tests, his doctor warned him he was borderline diabetic, had elevated triglycerides and a concerning increase in waist circumference, all from simply spending too much time seated after each meal. Now, what can you do to avoid this mistake? The solution isn't complicated, but it requires a small habit change. The best thing you can do is take a 10 to 15-minute leisurely walk. You don't need to run or do intense training. Just walk. Walking stimulates circulation, helps distribute blood sugar more efficiently, and aids digestion. Plus, it has a positive effect on your mood. If you can't go outside, walk indoors, climb and descend stairs slowly, or do some standing stretches. The important thing is to move. It's been shown that a short walk after eating significantly reduces glucose spikes and improves insulin sensitivity. And if you're one of those who watch TV or stare at their phone out of habit, do it, but standing or slowly pacing around the house while you do it. Remember, the time after eating is an opportunity to help your body process food better, or to punish it with inactivity. So, the next time you feel the temptation to stay on the sofa, get up, walk, and do your heart, your pancreas, and your overall health a favor. The 3 best things you should do after eating. After reviewing all those mistakes that may be affecting your health, here comes my favorite part. Talking about what you should do after each meal. Because it's not just about avoiding the bad. It's about giving your body those little actions that help it work better, that nurture your digestion, protect your heart, and keep you strong and full of energy. So pay attention, because these 3 recommendations are simple, but they can make an enormous difference in your well-being. Option 1, a light walk. We mentioned it before, but it deserves repetition because it's perhaps the best habit you can adopt after eating. Go for a gentle 10 to 15-minute walk at a relaxed pace. No rush, no running, just constant movement. Why is this habit so powerful? Because it activates circulation, promotes intestinal movement, and reduces the risk of blood sugar spikes. In fact, several studies have shown that walking after eating can help control glucose in people at risk for diabetes. Plus, it helps you avoid that heavy, uncomfortable sleepiness that sometimes follows a large meal. You don't have to cover great distances. If you have a park nearby, perfect. If not, walking indoors, down a hallway, or even gently climbing and descending stairs also works. The key is to keep your body moving. Option 2, deep breathing or relaxation techniques. You might think this is minor, but how you breathe after eating also influences digestion. After a meal, your body needs to enter a state of relaxation and calm. Physicians call this the parasympathetic mode, the natural state for efficient digestion. If you finish eating and stay stressed, checking your phone, answering emails, or arguing, your body interprets it as an alert, and that slows digestion. A good practice is to take 5 to 10 minutes after eating for deep breaths. Inhale slowly through your nose, feel your abdomen expand, and exhale gently through your mouth. You can do this seated with a straight spine, or even standing. But the important thing is to lower your mental and physical pace. This little routine improves blood flow to the digestive system, helps relax stomach muscles, and prevents discomfort like bloating or gas. You can accompany it with soft music, or simply close your eyes and focus on your breath. 10 minutes of calm after eating can be more effective than any stomach remedy. Option 3, a short routine of gentle stretching or mobility. If walking isn't an option, or if you just want something extra, another great alternative is light stretches or gentle mobility exercises. No sudden movements, no forceful twists, just small exercises that stimulate circulation and help your body relax. For example, raise your arms overhead and stretch upward. Gently twist your torso side to side while seated or standing. Make circular motions with your shoulders and neck to release tension. Slightly bend your knees if you're standing. These simple movements not only activate digestion, they also improve spinal mobility, prevent muscle stiffness, and help you maintain good posture. Plus, this stretching moment can be a ritual to connect with yourself, feel your body, and be grateful for the food you just received. Short and long-term benefits of adopting these habits. If you begin practicing these 3 habits, you'll gradually notice significant changes. In the short term, less heaviness, fewer gases or stomach discomfort, better sleep quality, since good digestion also improves nighttime rest. In the long term, better weight control, reduced risk of type 2 diabetes, a more efficient digestive system, lower cardiovascular risk. Always remember this phrase: the time after eating can be your best medicine or your worst poison. And now that you know what to avoid and what to do, the choice is in your hands. Real-life cases of people who improved their health by changing post-meal habits. Sometimes, understanding theory isn't enough. We need to hear real stories, relatable cases, people like you, or like me, who decided to make small changes after each meal, and thanks to that, dramatically improved their health. Let me share 2 stories that perfectly illustrate what I've been telling you today. The story of Mr. Manuel, the man who defeated reflux without medication. Mr. Manuel is 76 years old, lives in a small village, and for years suffered from a problem many know well: gastric reflux. Every afternoon after eating, he had that burning sensation in his chest, that annoying acidity rising to his throat, and often he ended up taking antacids day after day. His routine was always the same. He ate, and as soon as he finished, he went straight to the armchair, laid back to watch television. And of course, shortly after, the symptoms began. For a long time, he thought it was simply old age, that with years, the body just didn't respond the same. Until one day, during a doctor's visit, he was told something that changed his life. Manuel, the problem isn't just what you eat, but what you do after eating. They recommended something simple yet powerful. Get up from the table, and instead of going to the armchair, go for a walk. Just 10 or 15 minutes. No hurry, no effort, but moving. At first, Mr. Manuel didn't take it seriously, but he decided to try it, just to see if he noticed a difference. And wow, did he notice? In just 1 week, the burning began to diminish. At 2 weeks, he no longer needed daily antacids, and after a month, he could barely recall the last time he'd felt acidity after a meal. Today, Mr. Manuel is the first to tell his neighbors, after eating, no sofa. Let's walk, even just a bit. A simple lesson, but one that restored his quality of life. The case of Carmen, controlling her blood sugar with a single habit change. Now let me tell you about Carmen, a 68-year-old woman who for years struggled with her blood sugar. Her doctor had already warned her she was on the verge of type 2 diabetes, and every test showed worrying values. Carmen wasn't overeating, but she had a habit that unknowingly made everything worse. After each meal, she'd sit and watch TV for hours. Her body, motionless, couldn't process glucose properly, causing those infamous post-meal sugar spikes. One day, after hearing a radio program about this very topic, Carmen decided to conduct a small experiment. After lunch and dinner, she began walking down her hallway. Nothing complicated, nothing demanding, just a 15-minute leisurely stroll without looking at her phone, only focusing on moving. The next month, when she went for her tests, the results surprised her. Her post-meal glucose, which had always been elevated, had dropped significantly. Her doctor, astonished, asked what had changed, and she, smiling, replied, "I just got off the sofa and started walking after every meal." Today, Carmen maintains her routine, and she's even inspired her husband, who now joins her on their daily walks. A personal reflection, the power of small changes. These 2 cases, Mr. Manuel and Carmen, prove you don't need big sacrifices, nor costly treatments, to start improving your health. You only need awareness, and the will to break those automatic habits that harm us so much. And if they could do it, you can too. It doesn't matter your age or where you live. The important thing is deciding and starting little by little. Because remember, your body speaks. You only have to listen and respond with habits that nurture it. Before we finish, let's recap. Today we've talked about something that seems small, but that really can make a huge difference in your health and quality of life. The 30 minutes after eating. Those minutes, when every choice you make can act as natural medicine or become an extra burden for your body. Let's remember together the 7 most common mistakes many make right after eating, and the healthy alternative for each: lying down or napping immediately. Increases risk of reflux, acidity, and other digestive problems. Solution: wait at least 30 minutes before reclining, and if you can, go for a small walk. Intense physical exercise right after eating. Body diverts blood from digestion, causing dizziness, nausea, or digestive cuts. Alternative: wait at least 1.5 to 2 hours before vigorous exercise. If you must move earlier, choose a gentle walk or light stretches. Hot shower or bath immediately. Hot water disrupts blood flow distribution and hinders digestion. Recommendation: wait about 45 minutes before showering. Smoking after eating multiples absorption of toxins and raises risks of digestive and cardiovascular diseases. Best option: gradually eliminate this habit. Seek professional help if needed. Strong coffee or tea right after eating impairs iron absorption, affects blood pressure, and worsens gastritis. Advice: wait 30 to 90 minutes before drinking these stimulants. Drinking too much water immediately dilutes gastric juices and slows digestion. Key: only small sips, preferably at room temperature. Staying sedentary for hours increases sugar spikes, diabetes risk, and abdominal fat storage. Better choice: a 10 to 15-minute walk at an easy pace, enough to activate your metabolism. Now you know. 7 mistakes, but also 7 opportunities to start caring for your body and feeling better each day. And before we say goodbye, I want to leave you with a simple yet true phrase. Remember, it's not just 30 minutes. It's 30 minutes that can add years to your life. So the next time you finish eating, when you're about to choose between the sofa or a walk, between coffee or water, between staying still or moving, ask yourself, which decision will I make for my health, my well-being, my future? Because deep down, the greatest gift you can give yourself is caring for your body, one small habit at a time. Thank you for joining us today. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something useful, leave us a comment telling us which habit will you change starting today. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you won't miss our next content, where we'll keep talking about health, wellness, and quality of life. See you in the next video.